Hello again. I'm Bert Smith. I'd like to thank you for joining this ongoing presentation of James Kent. These presentations are presented for perhaps a local bar association meetings or a seminar or class on legal history. James Kent passed away on December 12th, 1847, after a long and storied career in public service, including representative to the New York State Assembly, Associate Justice of the New York Supreme Court, Chief Justice of the New York Supreme Court, as well as Chancellor of the State of New York. Professor Kent also served as the first professor of law at Columbia College for many years, both before and after his time in public service. In this week's installment, we're going to look at the search engine for results from the ProQuest Historical Newspapers database, and the results from that search demonstrate the breadth of his impact as well as the tributes in his honor for his contribution to law and legal history. For example, in the New York Times, it was reported that a statue of Chancellor Kent had been completed by sculptor George E. Bissell and was to be housed in the Library of Congress at Washington, D.C. Notably, the statue still stands in the Jefferson Building of the Library of Congress reading room. The New York Times article contains a terrific sketch of the statue, but the statue depicts Kent in, quote, thoughtful pose, costumed in the silk robes of his office. In his left hand, he holds manuscripts which represent his commentaries, famous as authority upon American law, and to be found in libraries of lawyers in all English-speaking nations. With his pen in his right hand, he is supposed to be engaged in writing the works which made him famous. He stands in deep thought. The aim of the sculptor was to suggest the simple, unconventional, commonplace personality of the Chancellor, and that's at page 3. In a lesser memorial, but perhaps with deeper personal significance, the Alumni Club of Union County, New Jersey, paid tribute to Kent by presenting a sundial to the grounds of the Kent Place School for Girls at the location of Kent's retirement home in Summit, New Jersey. The inscription on the sundial reads, quote, here for 10 years before his death was the county place of James Kent, 1763 to 1847. Professor of Law at Columbia College, Chief Justice and Chancellor of the State of New York, author of Kent's Commentaries on American Law, pioneer expounder in judicial decisions on the foundations of his country's jurisprudence, in whose honored remembrance the Columbia Alumni Club of Union County, New Jersey, erects this memorial in 1938. That's at page 31. The New York Times also reported that Columbia University acknowledged Kent's significance with the naming of its new law school in his honor. The building, which opened in 1910 with a capacity of 200,000 books and a cost of $500,000, was to be known as Kent Hall. It stands directly across from Hamilton Hall, named for Kent's friend and role model, Alexander Hamilton. Kent was associated with Columbia College for over 50 years. The photograph of Kent Hall is from Wikimedia and licensed by Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 4.0 International with public usage permitted. For the 100th anniversary of Kent's return to Columbia in 1923, the university held Kent Centennial plans for Commencement Week. Notably, a sermon would start the ceremonies at St. Paul's Chapel, but a special celebration of Kent was planned, including a speech, among others, by Secretary of State and later Chief Justice Charles E. Hughes. Many dignitaries were present, including 10 of Kent's own descendants and representative of courts from U.S. states, federal courts, and even Canadian courts. It was noted to be, quote, the biggest alumni event since law teaching began at Columbia in 1773, when the first professorship of law in America was established. These memorials, though 100 years old, are still available for public viewage. Thank you for watching.